Warning, 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 warning. 3, 2, 1. The FantasyFootballTips.co podcast with Mills and Quigliano.
Hi, you're listening to FantasyFootballTips.co, the podcast in association with Premier Punt, the home of daily fantasy football betting. It's game week 27. My name's Mills, and I'm joined by Quigliano, and only Quigliano this week. And if you don't mind me saying, Quigliano, you sound a little bit under the weather there.
Well, I've crawled off my deathbed, mate, to sort of do my duty, really. I know there's a lot of people that are relying on these sorts of tips. We had a lovely message from somebody who'd been messaging you, really, to say that he was part of the Quigliano fan club branch in California, was it?
Yeah, I mean, well, to give him the official title, his name's Matt Smith, and he's the president of the California branch of the Quigliano Appreciation Society. A bit of a mouthful, but sounds good from your point of view, I would imagine.
I mean, just an absolute hero and probably an icon. And I would hasten to add, the most respected man in the entire state of California, if not the United States.
Okay, more than Arnold Schwarzenegger.
Absolutely, this is the new governor. This man.
I mean, let's be honest. We're picking these out. We're kind of cherry picking these emails to read out. There was also one from a guy called Andy Goodland, a golf pro, who contacted me. He's a premium member. He was after some team analysis, and he did say to tell Quigliano to wind his neck in. So that was on the back of the last podcast where you were a little bit grumpy.
Well, I would probably say to Andy, stick to the golf, okay? Keep swinging those clubs. I'd like to know what sort of score he's playing off for this supposed golf pro. I mean, pitch and putt and crazy golf doesn't classify you as a golf professional.
Oh dear, that is harsh words.
But anyway, Andy, this neck will remain out like Deirdre Rashid of Coronation Street, but it's staying out there. So move on.
Okay, well, Matt Smith did actually send in some questions, so we'll get to that later, and they're obviously FPL related as well. Quigliano, I mean, no JP this week. It's almost like the good old days, isn't it?
I mean, it's a shame. It's currently 7:15, so it's obviously past his bedtime. We asked his mum, but apparently he's not been eating his greens at home, so he is in bed, unfortunately.
Okay, that is a shame. And we've got a huge announcement coming up later on in the show today. And this is groundbreaking. I'm so excited about this. I'm not even completely sure if Quigliano's aware of what I'm going to say, but some huge news coming later.
Fantastic. I'm really, I don't know whether I can carry on with this podcast knowing that there's huge news around the corner.
Well, it is, and we will get to that later.
Is it anything to do with a cure for my illness that I'm feeling right now?
No, it's not. But I am curious to know how many podcasts we've done where you have stated that you're ill, because it does happen quite a lot.
I mean, that's the problem. The blood that runs through me is can literally cure all diseases around the world, and I obviously allow medical experts to come and sample it, and I sometimes have to take on a disease, and then they're like, yes, he's cured another one because of this godlike blood that runs through me. I mean, this is just a side effect, but I do it for the world, and that's why everyone loves me.
Okay, I mean,
Andy Goodland.
I wasn't sure where you were going with that, and I'm still quite shocked by the fact that you've even said those words. But okay, I mean, this is why the fans either love or hate Quigliano, I suppose.
Where are you getting hate from?
Okay, just the words "wind your neck in."
So, I think on the whole, it's a love bar Andy Goodland, golf pro.
Okay, let's get back to FPL, because after all, that is why we're here. It's been a bit of a break. Obviously, the FA Cup, Champions League, Europa League. There seems like there's been so much football on, but none of it's been Premier League related. So glad to be back. How was game week 26 for you, Quigliano?
On the whole, I've taken some positives. The defence came through again. That Southampton clean sheet's really been beneficial. Forster.
Is that six in a row now?
He's been a great transfer in. And obviously, Cheapy Target came back in as well, and he was on my bench and actually ended up coming in due to player not playing. So I'm looking for the positives. It was a 50-point game week. which when you're not had a worldie, then you take 50 points as sort of as an okay benchmark.
Okay, yeah, I mean, I agree with that. Some standout results as well. If it's again, like I say, it seems like a long time ago, but 6-0 win for Liverpool against Villa. As good as that sounds for Liverpool, it just sounds horrendous, doesn't it, for Villa? And I can't see them doing anything between now and the end of the season.
Yeah, and I mean, on top of that, like looking at that positively, the player that probably most people had in was Firmino, and out of 6 goals, didn't really pick up that many points. So you've got to be loving that. I tipped Coutinho as the long shot.
You did?
And Gary of the week was Firmino. So obviously a return to form for Quigliano, and that's why that neck doesn't need to be wound back in.
Okay, absolutely. I mean, Coutinho was a great shout as a long shot, and three assists there was stunning, really, wasn't it? And 3 bonus points as well, may I add. And then I do believe we tipped Diego Costa as well, and again he shone in that Chelsea 5-1 victory over Newcastle.
Yeah, I mean you're all over that because you put him in yourself, aren't you? That's why you're sort of a bit smug about that one.
Well, yeah, and I captained him as well, so quite pleased.
Well done.
Thank you for the praise there, Quigliano. So anyway, onwards and upwards to game week 27, which I mean, unless you are absolutely, I won't say the word, but you probably all know the word.
Novice.
Well, even probably worse than that, you're going to know that there are 4 teams not playing in game week 27. Unbelievably, someone in our WhatsApp group cropped up this week going, "What? Why are these teams not playing? Why is there no fixture next to their name?" Unbelievable.
Yeah, and he was like, he's there transferring other players out, and he still had Rooney in there who picked up an injury. I mean, that's amateurish, and is justified in his position within the league.
Absolutely. So most people are going to be aware of the fact that Man City, Newcastle, Everton and Liverpool are not playing this week. So talk me through your thoughts, first of all, on that, Quigliano. You know, a lot of people have now got Aguero in the team. A lot of players, like you just mentioned, have got players like Firmino in there, maybe have put Coutinho in there. Everton, you know, Lukaku, Barkley, Deulofeu, although he's kind of dropped off of late. You know, lots of players that have got players in those teams.
I mean, this, again, like as you pointed out, we'll stop trying to take a little backhanded swipe at somebody we know who's listening. It's been on the cards, and it's something that I was aware of myself. I played the wild card at the end of January, and even like had that in mind with the team that I was eventually going to have to rotate, and thought ahead, how many transfers am I going to need? So I plan, and it's still in a plan at the minute, to keep someone like Aguero. I'm happy to have him on the bench for 1 game week, and have made sure that I've got players that are going to be playing, so that I've got a full complement of players out there picking up points. If you've playing game week to game week, so I did call it last week actually, and said, you know, putting Firmino in and Coutinho, they were the Gary and the long shot, and they came up with points. It was only ever a short-term fix because they had a game week blank, so they're going to have to come out. That's why you've got to listen to the podcast and plan ahead, really.
Absolutely, it is. And read the tips on the website, because it's all on there. Your strategy's on there. Okay, Quigliano, just a couple of concerns for people. I think I mentioned to you off air, Borthwick Jackson picked up an injury in the match against Shrewsbury. The match against Shrewsbury. So he's unlikely to feature this weekend. He had been a previous tip of ours. Players like...
A cheap tip. A cheap tip, yeah. I can't imagine there's many that have got him in there. I think that's, again, this is not just about you, Mills. I know he's in your team. Okay.
This is another player that's in my team, but he will be in a lot more. He's Harry Kane. He has broken his nose. He's not going to travel he's not going to feature in the Fiorentina game. But I am hearing from Pochettino that he will be fit for Sunday's match. But there is that concern. People are going to log on. They're going to see that yellow box over his name, and they're going to think, oh my God, 75%, can I risk it?
Well, I'm sure Pochettino, that you're struggling to say there, has probably been tweeting Ben Dinnery saying, is Kane going to be available? So I will be watching Ben Dinnery like a hawk to get that news on Harry Kane. I mean, that would be a disaster. And talking about myself, that would scupper my plans. So maybe I wouldn't be keeping Aguero, or if Kane's not going to feature, do I transfer him out? That's when it starts to hurt you. But I think as a minimum, you want 10 outfield players as a bare minimum. If there's any less than that, I think minus points are even potentially worth it, because you might as well have players playing.
Okay, absolutely. I agree with that.
And on that, sorry again, Mills, but bear that in mind when you're transferring them in, that game week 13, not looking too far ahead, but is definitely going to have a series of casualties as well. So, don't be transferring in players that you're then eventually going to have to transfer back out and are struggling to keep a solid squad.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, there's a number of fixtures kind of decimated by the FA Cup quarterfinals, and with Arsenal, West Brom potentially another fixture that might go in that, which would leave only 5 fixtures.
I do have three Arsenal players, so that is.
Yeah, that is.
That's why you keep your wild card, and I've gone against that, but that was for personal reasons. These sorts of things are why you can keep a wild card.
What, were you feeling quite low about yourself? You needed something to focus on, or?
I thought the club needed to take a new direction.
Okay, so on that, we're going to take a very short break. We'll be back right after this with this week's Gary of the Week.
You are listening to Mills and Quigliano on the FantasyFootballTips.co podcast. Sponsored by Premier Punt. All your fantasy Premier League tips in one juicy little podcast. Get in touch at www.fantasyfootballtips.co.
Okay, Quigliano, so we're under strength, but I think the tips are, well, we've done a lot of FPL chat so far, which is unusual for us. Is JP a distraction usually, do you think?
I think he potentially is a lot of dead wood that we have to carry around, and maybe we speak to his mom and get this curfew as a sort of regular feature.
Okay, I mean, pretty out there to the fans. What do they think? Give us a tweet, drop us an email at support@fantasyfootballtips.co. Let us know.
Maybe put a hashtag Ask Joe's Mom.
I love hashtag Ask Joe's Mom. If we could get that anywhere near trending, I'd just be happy with 50 of those. Do you know what I mean? That would be great. Yeah. Okay, so Quigliano, I'm coming to you for the Gary of the Week for game week 27.
It's smack you in the face obvious, I'm afraid, this week. Leicester, I hate myself for saying it, but they've got Norwich, who look appalling. They're a team in confidence. They've had a week off. Ranieri gave them a week to do what they wanted, to relax, take their mind off everything. I think Gary of the Week has to be Jamie Vardy.
Okay, interesting. Jamie Vardy, not Mahrez.
I always look at the person with the most chance, and he's the furthest person forward. Looks to be on penalty duty as well. So that was like the part of the draw of Mahrez was the penalty responsibility. So now that Vardy has that, as well as all his goals to this date, I think he has to be the guaranteed tip of the week.
Okay, I'm not going to argue with you there, Quigliano. I absolutely agree. Okay, Quigliano, so the long shot.
Right, the long shot, I'm upgrading this man. He was a side tip, but he was probably a long shot on the side tip, so I've had to swap him in, and that is Igalo of Watford. I mean, JP would be loving these tips right now.
I mean, this sounds like JP's tips.
His favourite players, but due to the sort of quietness of this week, with a few teams not playing, I think Igalo going to Bournemouth, a return to goal scoring form could be on the cards.
Okay, yeah, I can't argue with that again. So I like that long shot, Quigliano, and the Delia for this week.
The Delia, the where are you? Well, I mean, I could call out Andy Goodland's golf, because where is he indeed? It's going to have to be just the whole club themselves, and that is Manchester United. Okay, yeah. I'm calling all of you out, including the manager, LVG. Like, what has happened to you? I see Arsenal travelling to Man United and picking up 3 points without question. When has that ever been the case?
Well, no, absolutely. And Arsenal obliterated them earlier in the season, didn't they? In sort of 25 first half minutes. It was, you could see the same happening again. We all remember that famous result where Arsenal got destroyed by Man United a few seasons back. I think that was under Ferguson, wasn't it? Was it 8-1 that day? Something like that. I'm not saying that's going to happen, but that's the kind of level we're talking about.
I mean,
the tables have turned so much.
Even their good players as well are running the risk of not running the risk of being getting injured. Like you saying, even players that have come in defence are now getting injured. It's not looking great for them. And despite that win midweek, I think Arsenal do a number. So prove me wrong. I've called you out, United. Where are you? Must be, haven't you?
Okay, Quigliano. And on to the ever favourite side tips.
Okay, side tips. So players that we're interested in and have a butcher's yourself. I think this week's fixtures favour Spurs. So I'm going straight in there with Eriksen and Kane. And that's Kane at 75% on the website. But a man like Mills is telling me to not worry because he's definitely going to play. So there's some side tips for you straight away. Mahrez, we mentioned earlier, he has to be an option given the fact that Leicester have got Norwich. And if you look at Leicester's fixtures, it's ongoing in terms of like the friendly draw that they've got. I think you could look at the next 6 and say, I fancy them to do well in those. So definitely be looking at Mahrez and Vardy combo. Stoke, I think anyone playing Villa needs to be taken seriously. So Arnautovic and the man that hasn't been playing as much as he should, Bojan. Lethal little combo there, and I think that could be a shout out. Bojan maybe slightly too strong to stomach, but Arnautovic we know has got pedigree to score. I've mentioned the partner in crime as the long shot Ighalo, so Deeney is definitely another option because I think Watford will do well against Bournemouth this week. And the final side tip is somebody who has been mentioned in the past, and that is Willian. I mean, Southampton have had that clean sheet run, but Chelsea's starting to get a little bit of momentum going. I mean, I know they got to play Man City's youth team, but confidence will start to be picking up, and there's quality players in there. Definitely an option. And if you're even braver than Willian, Pedro did look very good the other day.
Yeah, Pedro's looked much improved, hasn't he, over the last couple of games? But Willian has been that consistent performer over the season, and he, even in those low times at Chelsea this season, he's been the standout performer. So I do like that. I just question that, like you've already said, the Southampton clean sheet factor. I think they're so confident in terms of those clean sheets with Forster in goal at the moment. That's a tough one, but that's why it's a side tip. Quigliano, I think you're holding up well. How do you feel that headache and cold or whatever it is that you've got?
It is a lease of life, the podcast. I can already feel the good vibes coming through the potential listeners. So that's been a slight remedy, and as alluded to earlier, this blood is very self-healing, so I'll probably be fine by the morning. And what is inside me would probably have killed off a small town, maybe a small town, an entire village.
Okay, I mean, this is potentially a side shoot for the premium members. Quigliano, could they get some of this illness fighting blood of yours? Could that be an added perk of premium membership?
If we could find a needle to pierce this skin, to draw the blood out, but I doubt you could. It's very much similar situation to Superman.
Okay. I think we're going to, before we go any further on that road, we're going to come to some questions from the listeners.
What, the standard listeners get to hear these questions as well? Surely you should kick those off by now. Just have this premium members only.
We'll do a couple of questions and then we're going to go premium. So I've got one from Derek on Twitter. We've heard from Derek before, I know we have. And he's talking about the bottom 6. He's saying Aston Villa, Sunderland, Newcastle, Norwich, Swansea, Bournemouth. Who are the 3 favourites to go down and which will end highest? I don't know what relevance this has got to FPL, but just in the interests of fairness, let's answer that question. So Villa, Sunderland, Newcastle, Norwich, Swansea, Bournemouth.
The standout performers there for me are Aston Villa and Norwich. I mean, Norwich currently just outside. I think they both look awful. I think Sunderland potentially have got enough about them to get themselves out of that mess.
They always seem to, don't they?
I also think Newcastle have got some good players there. I believe that they would have enough to go out to get themselves out of that. The bottom 3, which only leaves really Swansea and Bournemouth. And I just worry for Bournemouth. I worry that they would not stay the course. So potentially those are my tips there. That it would be Villa, Norwich and Bournemouth.
Okay.
Controversial.
Very controversial, given that Bournemouth are the highest out of all of those teams currently. But, Quigliano, you've called them before, so...
I mean, I don't like those... I'm not a predictor on this. That's more something JP would love to put his name to this.
Okay, let's move on. So, FPL Kegger, he's asking what the best transfer in is for this round for a player that is also going to play in game week 30. Now, he has said exclude Leicester and Spurs, so I'm guessing you're going to be looking at maybe Man City, but obviously that's your call. And he has said, do you like Arnautovic, which you've kind of already covered, really?
I mean, we get on well, yeah. I do like him. I think it's got to be... I mean, I've just had to quickly go ahead to the fixtures there because you've caught me off guard. Provided he's fit, Harry Kane, Dele Alli, Christian Eriksen...
Yeah, but he did say exclude Spurs, so...
I tell you what, I should listen more to you, So now I've got to backtrack and go, right, well, who's playing this
and
game?
exclude Leicester as well, if you weren't listening.
You should have definitely given this to the premium members, because...
no one's going to buy premium after this. No one wants to listen after this.
I'll tell you what, then. We'll stick a gamble on there, even though I've tipped them for relegation. A Phobie's a shout. A cheap little striker who is capable of goals. They've got Watford, who I still think will win, but by no means with a clean sheet. And then they've also got Swansea, who they'll be battling for to stay in that league. And they have the advantage of being at home in that game. So how about a little punt on a Phobie?
Okay, I do like that, and you've backed your man right from the start as he joined. So I like that, Quigliano. We're pretty much coming to the end of podcast standard. Before we go into premium, if you're not a premium member, by the way, please go to the website fantasyfootballtips.co. Go onto the sign up for premium section, and you can sign up. There's a 7-day free trial on there if you want to take advantage of that. And if you do that, then you can listen to the podcast premium, the podcast extra, after this. But before we go, Quigliano,
Is it the big reveal?
It's the big reveal. I mean, we've built it up, haven't we? It's come right down to the end. Any ideas, Quigliano, what I could be talking about?
Is it a spin-off sitcom series of the three of us moving into an apartment together that has been licensed by NBC and HBO?
Oh, do you know what? You're so close, and talks were at a very advanced stage on that, but they did stall at the last minute. So unfortunately it's not. Although I do think we'd had massive success with that. I really do. It's almost as good as that though, Quigliano. Quigliano, I'm so pleased to stand here and say, fantasyfootballtips.co has now got its own app, mobile app on iPhone and Android, and we're going to be rolling out with the platform soon as well. What are your thoughts on that?
I worry for FPL as a whole because the rate of growth from this website potentially could be hosting their own FPL, and we could make all the changes that were necessary. Sounds good, Mills. Business
it
sounds
is good. Now, I know you're probably going to say, okay, but how much are they charging me? It's free.
How much are they charging, mate?
It's free. Absolutely free.
Surely not forever.
We will see, but for now it is free, so get on it early. Now, you're also going to ask me, where can you get it?
Where can you get it, mate?
Okay, it's not in the stores yet, but it is going to be very soon. So what you need to do is you need to be following our Twitter account, which is @FPL_the source. You need to be on our email list. But as soon as it goes into the stores on Play Store and the Apple Store, I'm going to announce it. I'm going to shout it from the rooftops. We're talking about 3 or 4 days away, I believe, from that happening.
You're still in talks with just the CEOs of Apple and Play Store, is it?
Yeah, absolutely. We're, like I say, very advanced talks, but
I've heard they're trying to persuade you to make it a paid app. Is that right?
They are. They're trying to get advertising all over it and things like that. But we're saying no. This is
your ground.
This is a premium product, and basically what it's going to do, Quigliano, it's going to have all the articles on there. It's going to have the Twitter feed. It's going to have links to all good FPL kind of sources, and even better, the best feature of this app for me is that it has the podcast. You can listen to the podcast directly within the app itself.
The only thing that would make this better for me would be to hear that it's just a very simple format and you literally load it and at the touch of a button you've got everything you need.
Well, that is literally what you do. So, Quigliano, it's the perfect app for you. if you cannot wait for it to get in Play Store, at the end of this week, I am going to be putting out a download link on the website. So again, just follow us on Twitter for details on that. Follow us on the email subscription, which is free. I'm not going to say any more on that. I'm going to leave the listeners with that. Please keep checking back, fantasyfootballtips.co. We're going to be back straight after this to answer the pertinent question of, if you could change one rule about FPL, what would it be? And I'm going to be asking Quigliano that, and we'll be discussing the captain tips right after this short break. If you're not premium, please go to the website and sign up now. Thank you very much for listening.
Warning, 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 warning. 3, 2, 1. The FantasyFootballTips.co podcast with Mills and Quigliano.